Do you know in our world, nobody wants to have a hot take, right?
Yeah, right.
Well, in a hot take, it's a strong opinion that is contrarian to the market, that's different than everybody. And it doesn't bother me. I have theories and belief systems that don't line up with everybody else. I don't think it's a hot take. I think it's a unique point of view. And I'm for all young sportscasters who go out and have opinions that are different. But there was one that what happens when the world has a hot take, and it's not unique, and everybody has it, and it's dumb. That happened a couple years ago when Nick Foles won a Super Bowl, and you started telling me Nick Foles was better than Carson Wentz, and my head exploded. It was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard in my life. So yesterday, Pro Football Focus comes out, and they grade the quarterbacks. Guess who's number one this year? Carson Wentz. That's not having his deep threat, Deshaun Jackson and Weeks. That's having 2 tough road games at Lambeau and Atlanta, tough place to play in a dome. That's not having his Hall of Fame left tackle for a game. That Carson Wentz is number one. Greg Cosell, somebody I've relied on for about 10 years. I brought him on 2 or 3 times when this ridiculous Nick Foles is better than Carson Wentz discussion started happening. And Greg was beside himself. He didn't even want to answer the questions. Here's Greg. When people suggest that Nick Foles is better than Carson Wentz.
Well, that's ridiculous. I love Nick Foles, and he's a terrific guy. I've met him, been around him. I think he's a really professional NFL quarterback. You can line up and win with Nick Foles. I mean, look, he won a Super Bowl, but I'm talking about over the course of 16 games as your starting quarterback. You can line up and win with Nick Foles. But if you're just talking about level of talent, Carson Wentz, talent-wise, is probably top 5, top 6 in the league. You would never talk about Nick Foles like that.
Carson Wentz, I can't help you folks. He's 6'5", with a rocket arm, wildly athletic, can throw it from every angle. If you can't see it, I can't help you. Okay, Nick Foles was fortunate. He had this combination of Andy Reid into Chip Kelly, into Doug Peterson, into Frank Reich. He had these very good offensive coaches, one after another, and was able to manage the game and a great roster in Philadelphia and win. There's a reason they had home field advantage in the playoffs that year. Carson Wentz got it for him, was going to be the MVP until he got hurt in like week 11. When people tell me Baker Mayfield's athletic, I'm like, if Baker Mayfield's athletic, then Carson Wentz is Superman. He's an alien. There are 5 quarterbacks in this league, and I can't help you. I would call them my Fantastic 5. They're just different athletically. Patrick Mahomes, Rodgers, Watson, Wentz, and Russell. I can't help you. If you can't spot it, there's nothing I can do. I'm not saying they're always the best on every Sunday, but I'm saying you can't argue with a straight face about their talent. They look different. They play different. They have arm angles. Russell Wilson made a throw last week against Arizona that was cartoonish. It didn't make any sense. Deshaun Watson earlier this year played the Chargers. He threw a touchdown pass. He escaped out of a pass rush. I'm not sure anybody but Russell Wilson in the world could have ever done it. Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes, no look, arm angle, over the top. So, this whole thing about the hot take society we live in, the world was arguing Foles was better than Wentz. Now, there are things about Wentz I don't love. Of these 3, Deshaun Watson, Carson Wentz, and Aaron Rodgers have had major injuries. Why? Because my knock on Wentz, and I think it's a real one, it's the same knock I had on Andrew Luck, Big Ben, and Cam. When you are born, Chris Carter used to say this, when you're born with a great voice, it's almost biblical. You're going to sing. You're going to sing in the car. You're going to sing in the shower. You're going to sing, right? You were given a gift. When you are given a 6'5", 240, you run a 4.6, you have a massive arm, when God gives you, and I'm not overly religious, but when the guy upstairs gives you these gifts, and then you sandpaper them and you amplify them because you work really hard, you do get kind of this fearless quality. This kind of bulletproof quality where I'm just going to take hits, I'm going to hold on to the ball longer, and Carson Wentz can do that, and I don't like it about him. And Aaron does that, and I don't like it about him. And Deshaun does that, and I don't like it about him. But when they do that, about every third time they do that, it's the greatest play on tape you've ever seen in your life. So I think that's the burden, the duality of gifts. I mean, Whitney Houston, when you have a voice like that, it's sometimes hard to manage. It's such a gift. When you get the gift of Aaron, the gift of Wentz, the gift of Deshaun Watson, it's really hard to manage it because it is so special. It's gotten you out of trouble since high school, and you're fearless. And that's my knock on Carson Wentz. But can we officially, Pro Football Focus, I'd like to thank you for ending my head started hurting. Ending what was the dumbest take in sports in the last 2 years, that Nick Foles, a nice kid, was better than Carson Wentz. Enough. Thank you, PFF. Oh, I see excuses are already coming for Aaron Rodgers. Let's shift gears. Big blaring headline today. Wide receiver Davante Adams, the top Packers wideout, unlikely to play for Green Bay against Dallas. So what? Tom Brady's had Super Bowls without Gronk. Julian Edelman missed a season. Josh Gordon relapsed. Randy Moss was traded midseason. And Wes Welker bolted because they wouldn't give him an extra 15 cents in New England. And Tom Brady wins regardless. Because Tom Brady is a great communicator. Tom Brady is a great leader. He introduces himself to every player, scout team or not, forges relationships. So Tom doesn't become dependent on his favorite receiver or one guy. Here's another guy who has this quality. His name is Russell Wilson. He'll play tomorrow night on Fox. Everything works with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is now making Will Disley a very good tight end. Will Disley caught 2 passes in college his junior year. He was a defensive end. They just said he can catch a little. Let's move him to tight end at the University of Washington. He's unathletic. He is now a favorite target of Russell Wilson. He's a blocking tight end. And now he's a really productive tight end. By the way, he also took Doug Baldwin, undrafted from Stanford, made him a Pro Bowler. Oh, by the way, Tyler Lockett was a gadget guy out of Kansas State. People were like, he's good, but, you used him for a couple reverses. He's kind of a gadget guy. Oh, no, he's a great player with Russell Wilson. And what do Tom Brady and Russell Wilson have in common? They're great communicators. You don't hear people, they get along with everybody, the unsigned, the small. And I think this is what Brady and Russell have that Aaron doesn't. Philip Dorsett was a bust in Indianapolis. He was a first-round bust. Last couple of weeks, he's been the most valuable receiver for the Patriots. They take small guys, undrafted guys, gadget guys. They all work. Because everybody works with Brady and Russell Wilson because they're great communicators. Aaron Rodgers has the talent to overcome the loss of Davante Adams. But you have to forge relationships. And isn't that always been my knock on Aaron? He struggles with authority. He can struggle with coaching. He can struggle with family. He can struggle with teammates. After about 7, 8 people call you out, I'm going to say some of it is true. So Davante Adams is out. So what? Russell Wilson loses. Doug Baldwin literally retired. Doug Baldwin out of the blue. I'm retiring. It hasn't hurt Russell Wilson one bit this year. He's having his best year as a pro, and he lost his most dependable wide receiver. And he takes Will Disley and DK Metcalf, and he's taken all these guys nobody's heard of. Have you ever noticed that with Russell Wilson? I mean, anybody. It all works. You didn't watch Julian Edelman in college. It all works. Do you know New England's had a different leading receiver in every game this year? And they haven't even had a tight end. It always works. Quarterback is not just about arm talent. It's about leadership and communicating. And the 2 best communicators, Russell Wilson and Brady at that position. I'd put Drew Brees in there as well. These guys, I don't want to hear excuses. It's a conveyor belt of missing pieces, guys leaving. Brady's had guys relapse, traded midseason. Gronk is out. Gronk retires. Edelman's hurt for the year. Never phases him. So Davante Adams, so what? So what? I just watched Teddy Bridgewater beat Dallas. Okay, you go beat Dallas.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.